The story begins in the Elzano Empire, which has a prestigious academy from which world-renowned magicians have graduated, and two of their students, Sistina and Rumia, were on their way to the academy. At the academy they met their new homeroom teacher named Glen because their old homeroom teacher was on a leave and Glen was assigned as a substitute teacher. He was a shut-in who got support from his friend Celica, but not for too long as she ordered him to become a teacher at the academy to pull him out of shut-in life. But there was another professor named Hallie who objected Glen being a teacher because Glen was totally average in everything field of magic and he doesn't even have clearance for being a teacher, and this would affect the honor of the academy pride history, but Celica then take full responsibility for him. Glen, on the other hand, did everything he could to get kicked out, acting as a totally useless piece at teaching. As it goes, Sistine got frustrated and challenged him as for her end. To everyone's surprise, Glen was so bad at magic that he was defeated by his student. Even after that, Glen continued to complain about being a mage, claiming that magic is only used to kill people. Hearing this, Sistine slapped Glen's, and every student lost hope that Glen could teach them anything. But then he met Rumia that evening. She told about her past, how a mage protected her from killers, and how she wished to be like him. Then one day, Glen realized his mistake and began teaching the class. His classes became so exciting for the students that students from other classes began sneaking in to attend his lecture. As Glen was getting popular, Celica was enjoying that her decisions were right on point, which this other professor didn't like that much. After that at evening, Celica told Glen that all the professor would be going to magic conference, and since his class is behind he had to stay behind. Then, as the scene shifts, we see Sistine and Rumia in their home. They are not blood relatives because Sistine's parents adopted her, but they still treat her as if she were their own family and never let her know she was adopted. The next day, when Glen was late as usual, he met some shady-looking guy in his way, and on the academy, people from an organization called Divine Wisdom attacked the academy to capture Rumia for some reason, so Rumia complied with them to save others. But one of them got his eyes in Sistine and wanted to defile her, but Glen arrived in time after defeating the guy who tried to kill him on his way. June underestimated Glen because he was only a substitute teacher, which was a mistake. Glen used a fool card to seal off the magic around him and used hand-to-hand combat to beat him up soon after Sistine told him about Rumia, and they got stuck with another attacker on the way. And this time, Glen's full powers to seal magic would not work because the spell had already been cast, so Glen sought Sistine's assistance in casting Dispel on the swords, but Sistine didn't have enough mana at the time, so he pushed her away so she could recover, and for the time being, Glen faced him on his own and was severely injured by those blades. But Sistine recovered her power and dispelled the magic from those blades, assisting Glen. But that much power and injury caused them to pass out, and when Glen awoke, he contacted Celica to inform her so that she could return right away. But the fact that the intruders got into the academy so easily means they have an insider, which also means they must have destroyed the teleportation circle, so Glen now has to handle everything on his own and save Rumia from them. Then Glen rushed to the tower where Rumia was being held and was ready to be teleported away, and the insider was the very own professor that Glen replaced. He cast her a devouring spell on himself so that if anything happened to him, whole academy would be destroyed, and he also casted a 5-late barrier on Rumia so that she could get teleported away without any interference, so Glen used his blood to infuse it with magic to overwrite the barrier, but he was exhausted at the end, so Rumia reached out and amplified his power, with which he saved her. This power that Rumia has, the power of amplifying, that association named Divine Wisdom was after and needed to take her away, surprisingly. More so, Rumia is the late princess of the kingdom, so they needed to conceal her reality due to this power that other could consider it to be apostate's power and could hurt her. Yet Glen couldn't care less about it. Her mother is the current queen of the Elzano Empire, Alicia IV, and Alicia was glad that she could meet her daughter Rumia again at the academy competition. But in this competition, no one from Class 2 wanted to participate because they expected to be beaten just like every year, so Glen boosted their confidence by arranging them according to their field of expertise. Sistine thought that Glen cared about the class, but he was doing this so that he could get the bonus from this competition for himself. So then, as they got the yard for practice, they got cried eyes because they were all average by Professor Hallie. So he wanted the entire place for his class to practice, so Glen and Hallie bet their 3 months' salary as the competition winner. Moving on, Sistine was concerned about Rumia since, the queen her mother, would attend the competition, but she was more concerned with the parents she had now, which were Sistine's parents, whom she regards as her own. Then on the competition day, everyone from the second class was doing great and outperformed every class, and seeing Rumia from afar, Alakea was also happy because all she did was save her because of her amplifying powers. And then during the break time when Glen was there with Rumia, Alicia slipped by the guards to meet Rumia, but she backed off pretending that she doesn't know her own mother and she might have mistook her for someone else. It was heartbreaking for Alicia, but she did all of this to save her, and after that she asks Glen to protect her like he did before when he was in the Imperial Army to Rumia. But the hectic part was that after that meeting the Imperial Guard came to kill Rumia for committing treason of attempting to kill the Queen, and everything was messed up, so Glen and take away Rumia, and while on the run Glen contacts Celica again, but her situation was so tight that she couldn't tell anyone about the cursed necklace that the Queen was wearing, and her maid was the culprit behind all of this. Then, on their way, Riel attacked Glen unexpectedly because he ran away from the Imperial Army without telling anyone. Riel and Albert are Glen's friends from the Imperial Army who protect the Queen and are among the most loyal, so they came to protect Rumia. However, the part where the greatest mage of the kingdom Celica was unable to do anything was upsetting, so Glen devised a strategy in which he sent Alberta and Riel as an instructor of the class while Glen was still fleeing with Rumia. When class was discouraged when Glen was there, Albert conveyed the same word to encourage them with that class 2 won the competition. As an instructor, when they got closer to the Queen to receive their honor, they revealed that it was Glen and Rumia who came by tricking guards with his friends, and seeing them, Celica immediately cast a barrier to prevent any interference. Then Rumia asked Alicia if she wanted Rumia to be dead, and her shocking answer was that she did it. It was all according to her order. Glen discovered flaws in the Queen's lies and discovered a curse that will kill her for information. If someone knew about the curse, she couldn't take it off, and if Rumia died, the Queen would be saved. But if someone guessed correctly, the Queen could take it off. All the heartless things she said to Rumia were like riddles because the person who have gotten out of her way to save her daughter would never order to kill her. At that time Glen was the one who saved her from those killers, so it was reassuring that she had someone by her side on whom she could rely on. So, for that's it today's video. It's still the first half of the video. For the second half, stay tuned and subscribe to the channel for more updates.